So they're watching very closely, like a lot of folks who did stay, even though there are mandatory evacuations, they did have evacuation plans in place. The fire got too close. There's another chopper going above us right now.
And Matt, can you tell us before you go, what's the wind situation right now? How has it changed?
Well, it's been erratic all day long. I mean, when we started out, when we first got here, it was burning west. Then we moved down to the other side of the lagoon. It was burning east and west. We saw kind of a loop around the lagoon, and then it's now, for the better part of the last hour or so, has been moving south. Which is, if you want to look at some good news, south means there's less homes, right? It's mostly open area at this point. We do, of course, have this small RV area, but beyond that, it's just open land. There's a lot of brush, though, to burn. We heard from a firefighter earlier that said this area got massive amounts of rain over the last couple of years, and that meant a lot more growth, which means, of course, a lot more fuel for the fire. So lots of negatives with that, but one positive is the homes, at least here in the Castaric area, are on the west side, and the wind is not blowing in that direction.
All right, Mac, thank you so much for that. We're going to let you move out of the area and find another spot for us. Take care. On the phone with us right now, Ruby Gonzalez. She's a spokesperson for Angeles National Forest. We understand that's been closed. What's the latest update you have, Ruby?
Right now, for confirmed acres, it's 5,054 acres. For your most up-to-date evacuation information, please visit Genesis Protect, and residents should also sign up for the LA County Emergency Alerts. As you've mentioned before, we've had very little precipitation, so we have a lot of dry brush. And the fire is also challenged by steep terrain.
So what problem does that pose? If it's the steep terrain, do you have to fight only by the air? Are you able to get any ground forces in there? What are you hearing from firefighters?
Yeah, so we do have some ground support, and this just means that it's a rapid rate of speed, so it's going very fast, and it is wind-driven. We also have a lot of dry air.
It certainly is really dry out there, and we've seen the erratic winds. Can you tell us any more about, I know there's no containment on this, but we have seen Phos-Chek, really thick fire retardant, being put down. How is the progression going? Are they able to get any lines around this?
Not that I have confirmed yet, unfortunately.
Ruby, we heard Supervisor Catherine Barger say earlier that LA County's fortunate in that we still have residual firefighters or boots on the ground from the Eaton Fire and the Palisades fire. And they're being deployed here, some of them, because in essence, they're in a mop-up mode. Can you address that at all for us?
Yeah, we have currently hundreds of firefighters on scene. I don't have an exact number, but all of our efforts are focused on putting the fire out as quickly as possible.
And are there is there any concern about some firefighting forces from out of town left after those fires? Would you bring more in to help, or do we feel pretty confident right now with what we have?
We're pretty confident, but we will accept any help that's available.
All right, Ruby Gonzalez, spokesperson for Angeles National Forest. Thanks so much.
Of course. Bye-bye.
Appreciate your time. I know you're busy out there. All right, Melissa McGee, we heard Mac talk about the winds out there. It said they were very erratic. More red flag warnings, and they've been extended?
Yeah, they've been extended for the Inland Empire, Colleen, until Friday, but we're starting to see those winds pick up. We've been tracking this fire all morning and throughout the afternoon, and the winds are getting a little stronger in some spots. I want to show you the latest observation data. Warm Springs, we're up to 45 miles per hour. Look at that sustained wind out of the northeast at 30 miles per hour. So two things going on. The Santa Anas are a factor. They are contributing to the rapid spread of the fire, and also look at the relative humidity. We are down into the single digits, 5% in Whittier Peak and 8% there in Warm Springs. So that's also a concern as we will have rapid fire growth. Earlier today, we had Eliana up in the chopper, and she was talking about how you can detect the smoke by radar. And she's right. We've got our First Alert radar network, and you can see to the north and west of Santa Clarita, you can see that plume of smoke, classic Santa Anas, coming in from the north and east, pushing down to the south and west. So it's coming out of LA County and pressing into Ventura County, infecting places like Simi Valley, Moore Park, just to the north of Thousand Oaks. In fact, I want to show you this camera. This is actually from our Alert California camera system from UC San Diego, and this really monitors and sensors wildfires all across Southern California. This is smoke. You can see it in the sky in Camarillo Ranch. That's in Ventura County. Downwind of that smoke plume in South Mountain, you can see all of the particulate matter in the atmosphere. So we've got air that is really unhealthy for everybody where that fire is burning and where it's not burning. So that's the key takeaway as we track those winds come in from the north and east. They travel all the way down to the south and west, affecting areas as far south as Oxnard there in Ventura County along the 101. So air quality checklist for you. And just a reminder, if you see the smoke or the ash, remain indoors, close your windows, run that air purifier, circulate that air, wear a mask, a N95 or a P100 mask. There's a lot of debris in the atmosphere, so you really want to prevent exposure to those toxins and all of that particulate matter. That's the air quality, but in the short term, it's about that wind too. So that's not helping us in terms of the firefighting situation. Santa Clarita, we've got gusts up to 31 miles per hour. They're going to get stronger, and we've been saying for at least 2.5 weeks, we've had this constant northeasterly wind that dries out the atmosphere. So not only is it dry at the surface, but from 2022, we talked about that fire chief mentioning this, from 2022, 2023, 2024, we had record rainfall here in Southern California for our water year. So now you add that water that we had with a lot of extensive vegetation and growth, and that growth is turning into fuel in terms of what we're seeing right now. We've got that wildfire triangle. So we talk about topography, we talk about the fuel, which is what's burning on the ground, and also we have those Santa Anas that help to spread that fire in an erratic behavior and fairly quickly. So the wind alerts and the red flag warnings will stay up right through Thursday, and for some right through your Friday too. I'll send it back over your way.
Melissa, quick question about the winds we're expecting tonight, specifically in the Santa Clarita, Simi Valley areas where this fire is going.
Yeah, that's right, Kathy. So I do want to show you that. We've got wind gust futurecast across our region, and as we go throughout the rest of the evening, we're going to have those winds that will start to pick up in intensity. So as we get into 6, 7 o'clock tonight, you can see the oranges here. That's winds anywhere from about 20 to 30 miles per hour. However, watch what happens as we go throughout the overnight hours into our Thursday morning. The purple shading, don't focus much on the numbers here. It's probably better to see this by looking at the colors. When you have the purple, that's winds ranging anywhere from 40 to 50 miles per hour just to the south and west of Santa Clarita, Santa Susana Mountains. We've got winds higher than that, anywhere from 50 to 60 miles per hour. So even though we're tracking the Santa Anas that are not as strong as they were with our previous events, and that's good news because firefighters can do their aerial assault, they're still moderate. There's still a concern across our region, and they will be with us for the rest of the overnight hours into our Thursday as well. So overall, Kathy, we're calling for those winds 30 to 50. In some spots for the mountains, they could be a little higher than that too.
You look at that map, and it really does spell it out when you look at the reds and the purples there, Melissa.
It really does. Absolutely, Colleen. And we've got more wind to track for the rest of tonight.
All right. We know you're on it. Thank you very much. As she mentioned, also very dry. It's just drier than it's been even right now.
Single digit humidity.
Digits, yeah.
On the phone with us right now, CHP PIO for the Southern California Division, Alex Pareda. Alex, you're going to talk about the closure of the 5 freeway. Give us the parameters on that, if you would.
Yeah, so the California Highway Patrol has deemed that the 5 freeway is unsafe to drive through this fire. So the Newhall CHP office has closed down the northbound 5 freeway, full freeway closure. They're closed at Newhall Ranch Road, and the Fort Tejon CHP office has closed down the southbound 5 on the other side, southbound 5 at Grapevine.
Okay, so we know you need to do this to keep everyone safe, but we're getting into high traffic areas right now, high traffic time rather. How long do you expect the freeway to be closed in this area?
Yeah, so this is going to be for the foreseeable future. At this point, it's a very fluid situation, so the CHP will weigh all options as we are going. But it's very high smoke at this time, and I know visibility is our main concern, and that's the reason that they have it all closed down.
So it's a smoke. It's not necessary. It's not because the fire has jumped the 5 freeway and is burning into the other side.
No, that is a possibility. I don't believe it was getting too close at this point. That could change. But our main concern was the visibility.
And so your message to people right now who are driving, I know you'll probably have to turn some people around, but what is your message right now?
Yeah, just expect major delays. The 5 freeway is such an artery, a main artery that we use in this state. And it's unfortunate that we did have to shut it down. But just plan ahead if you are going to be heading up north or south. Try to plan out an alternate route. I believe the only way people are going to be able to do that is by the 14 freeway. They should be able to get around it for the most part, maybe some city street driving to get to the 5 freeway on the other side or Angeles Crest. But that will be a pretty big delay if people are planning to do that.
Yeah, maybe it'll take more time to take that route, but at least you won't be stopped and turned around and then sent back in that direction. All right, officer, thanks so much for your time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
We know you're busy out there.
Thank you. Let's check in right now with our Camila Rambaldi. She is live at College of the Canyons in Santa Clarita. And Camila, can you tell us exactly what's going on where you're at right now?
Hi, Kathy. That's right. We're here at the College of the Canyons on Rockwell Canyon Road. We are about less than 8 miles away from Castaic Lake, but I want to show you guys from our view here. You can just see that smoke, that dark plume of smoke billowing into the air here from a College of the Canyons. And we're about southwest from this fire. The winds are moving it west, and out in the distance there, you can also see one of the towers there at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and Six Flags is also slightly north from the freeway that is shut down right now through the Grapevine. And earlier, actually, you can see right now some of that aircraft there in the distance, that air support as crews continue to work to contain this fire. Again, we're just southwest from where the fire is burning, across from Stevenson Ranch here at the College of the Canyons. This is the command post where there are a number of resources on the ground here, from fire personnel, the U.S. Forest Service. I'll have my photographer give you a better look here of all the resources that are on the ground. As I mentioned, fire personnel, the U.S. Forest Service, Caltrans, and SoCalGas. And then toward my right, you can also see a number of LASD trucks as well. Again, we're standing by here for a press conference that is expected to begin at 5 o'clock here at the command post at the College of the Canyons. But again, you can see out in the distance just that intensity of that smoke, that dark plume there, and the winds here fairly been moderate. But as we've been talking about this afternoon, just the concerns of those winds intensifying later this evening. So that's something that we're going to continue to monitor. But again, here at the College of the Canyons, the university here at the command post, we're standing by for that press conference that is expected to begin at 5 o'clock, and we'll continue to bring you the very latest from here. Colleen and Kathy, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Camila, thank you for that. You know, David Bigger just walked in here, and as we continue to look at a picture, I don't know if we can put up a picture of News Chopper 4. David just mentioned that there are a number of C-130s assisting in this, one from the California Air National Guard, Wyoming Air National Guard, and Nevada as well. You may remember Supervisor Catherine Barger said earlier there are a lot of people still here left over, basically from the Eaton and the Palisades fires earlier. And if you may remember, or if you do remember this, there were a number of C-130s deployed from across the country to come in and assist with this. And as I'm looking, that is not a C-130. That is actually a DC-10 that's getting ready to line up and drop some of that flame retardant that we see.
Always fascinating
to
to see this. Let's see, we can see the drop, the thick retardant that it's going to drop in, drop it outside of the fire line to try and stop the flames from spreading.
Well, there are really two missions. If you look at what the choppers do, they gather up water and they drop water directly on the flames to extinguish the fire. But these aerial aircraft, the fixed wing aircraft, other than the super scoopers, who typically use water, the aircraft will drop these flame retardants, as you pointed out, Kathy, ahead of the flames to slow the progress if the fire is burning in that direction. If you've been in La Cañada Flint Ridge or in and around the Eaton Canyon area, you can see the hillsides there are just painted up and down, and up around JPL, that entire ridge where they almost had to make a stand when they were fighting the Eaton fire. That whole ridge there is covered with this pink sort of fuchsia flame retardant.
Every time I see this after a fire, I think, thank you, firefighting resources, because they do their job. Let's check in right now with Amber Frias. She is live in Castaic right now. She can update us. And Amber, can you tell us exactly what location, where you are?
Yeah, Kathy, Colleen, I'm at Hasley Canyon Village, which is on Hasley Canyon Road and the Old Road. It's a shopping center that is within the area under evacuation orders, mandatory evacuation orders. Inside this shopping center, there's a Ralph's. There are several restaurants. The restaurants, as I could see, they appear to be closed already. The Ralph's remains open, and we've seen many people stopping by, loading up on groceries, and then heading out. The parking lot is also full of others who are here kind of standing by, keeping a watchful eye on the fire, hoping that it does not continue to grow and hoping that if by any chance they could go back home. I spoke with one woman who told me that she received the evacuation order when she was at work. So she rushed home to try and grab some things, but she was too late. So she's standing by here hoping, just for some information, hoping that her home, is okay. There's also other people here in this area trying to go home. Here is Elizabeth. She actually tells me she's from Fraser Park. So being that the 5 freeway is closed, she can't get home. And Elizabeth, what were you doing here when the fire started?
I was babysitting my grandchildren this morning, and I took them to school, and it was beautiful out. And then a few hours later, I look out the front door, and then all I saw was a big black cloud or smoke all over the hills. And before I knew it, we were being evacuated. Just like that.
Yeah, and we were talking about just how fast, this fire grew.
This thing was really growing fast. I saw it on my Watch Duty app, and it was going from 5 to 50 acres. The next thing I knew, it said 100. Or was it? No, I'm sorry, I correct that. 50 to 100. And then the second time I looked at it, it said 500 already. And then I think it was not even an hour, it was 5,000. And now it's 8,000 something, and wow.
Yeah.
It's still growing.
And you were telling me that, so your grandchildren live here, they're with their mom now, but what are you going to do?
I don't know yet. It doesn't sound like I'm going home. I live in Fraser Park. And on Facebook, on our app, Facebook app there up in Fraser Park, they're saying the fire jumped the interstate to say that Gorman and Hungry Valley are in threats. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going home. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Just yet.
Now, Elizabeth, is it anybody at your home right now? Anybody that could, keep an eye on it, grab anything for you?
You mean Fraser?
Yes.
No, there's nobody there. My son works in Ventura, and that's where he is right now. And my son-in-law is still down there at the house on Park Vista. And my daughter is got the kids, and they're out there by the mall. And I don't know what she's doing, or if she's not able to get here or what. I don't know her situation right now. Me, I'm here all by myself with a little puppy. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I really hope, you can communicate with your family and you guys find a place to, stay tonight.
I was thinking about that, and I was kind of wondering, if you take a motel, are you going to be evacuated from that too? So I don't know where to go.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So a lot of anxiety, a lot of unanswered questions, people just standing by here in this area. And I'm going to have my photographer actually panned onto the parking lot so you could see just how many people here, just looking onto the smoke, trying to get an idea of how big this fire is getting and what that means for their home. A lot of people just standing by, hoping that maybe this fire, won't get to their home, and hopefully maybe they could go back there. Colleen, Kathy.
Before you go, that Ralph's parking lot, I believe that's where they evacuated students from Castaic middle and elementary schools. Any sign of them still there? I know that was early on, a couple of hours ago, but any sign of that at all?
Colleen, not that I can see. I mean, the parking lot is full of cars. There are, barely any parking spots open. A lot of families here. I don't see a sign of, big groups of kids or teens.
We've just been watching, Kathy and I are pointing at the left side of the screen. What we've been watching is that DC-10 drop a load of
fire retardant right on Charlie Canyon Road there. So we were watching that as we're talking to Amber Frias, who is there at Hasley Canyon.
And I'm sorry,
Village.
Amy, what did you say? What did you say? What are we seeing on the right-hand side here? Okay, Conan Nolan, what we're seeing is a picture from your camera on the right side of the screen here. We're going to toss full to you right now. As Kathy pointed out, that is Charlie Canyon Road, Kathy?
Charlie Canyon Road.
All right, Conan.
That's right, and we're not that far from the Castaic Animal Care Center. I don't know if that has been impacted by this, but since we talked to you last, the smoke has dissipated dramatically from where they have been laying down this fire retardant. We see some places where there are fingers of the fire that have gotten into some heavy brush, put up a lot of very dark smoke. On the ridge to my right, you can see a couple of bulldozers. That is part of the effort to draw a ring around this fire, and they have been able to give them an opportunity based on the amount of Phos-Chek and the blanket of orange that you've seen. You were talking about that bright pink orange color. It's sort of the color scheme of the fire season in California. That is the brown hills and canyons with the bright orange, something we've been seeing for so many years. And Colleen, you've been seeing a lot of those DC drops in your background as well, knowing full well the aviation involved here because of your Air Force background. I should say, though, that the flames have moved to the east, continue than the smoke. It looks a lot better over here to the far left, down canyon. It is a much darker. And I'm going to see if we can get, Kathy had talked earlier about a location where they normally have a ground unit, ground in the sense that he's perched on a canyon hilltop or a ridge line, helping direct the air traffic. And we had one here earlier. I think he may have relocated, but in any case, for this neighborhood here, Tercero, a new development, they have a lot of empty lots who, make for a nice fire break. They seem to be at the moment out of harm's way, although there is an evacuation still taking place for these neighborhoods down the slope from where we are standing. But right now, at this, in terms of this wing of the fire, this flank of the fire, it's looking pretty good on this ridgeline. All the action now is down canyon as it heads east towards Interstate 5 and some of the areas that you had been talking about. But if you're in the eastern Santa Clarita Valley, it's looking a lot better. You see the smoke, you see where the prevailing winds, and that's a good sign. You don't even have smoke. You don't even have the air quality issues that you certainly have in Ventura and Thousand Oaks and other places as it continues to blow in that direction. Whether it continues, the prevailing winds, it's all about wind velocity and wind direction. And right now, again, they're in better shape than they were earlier today. Back to you.
But we're going to see those winds then push, as you said, toward Simi, and it's going to get stronger later on. And Conan, I think I heard earlier, Castaic Animal Care Center did get evacuated, and they're also telling people to take small animals to Agora, I believe, and Palmdale, or other areas where small animals can go. Pierce College, as usual, is good for the larger animals.
All right, time right now is...
That would make sense.
Yeah, Conan, thank you for that. We want to sort of bring our viewers up to speed on this. The time right now is 4:30. Once again, we've been tracking that fast-moving wildfire that is sweeping through the Lake Castaic area. It has now burned more than 8,000 acres.
We've been watching this fire all day. It started around 11 a.m. off Lake Hughes Road near Castaic Lake and the 5 freeway. This exploded within a matter of hours. You heard that woman say every time she looked at her app, it was getting bigger and bigger. The entire Castaic Lake area is now under an evacuation order, as well as parts of Santa Clarita and a portion of Ventura County east of Lake Piru. Evacuation centers are open at Valencia High School and Hart High School. Henry Mayo Newhall Hospital in Santa Clarita is open, and they say they are operating normally.
We've heard from the CHP. All lanes of the 5 freeway closed through the Grapevine right now. Northbound closures start at the 126, State Route 126 near Newhall Ranch Road. Southbound closures begin at Grapevine Road. There is no timeline at this point, but as we heard the officers say, there's a lot of smoke out there, and that could impede driving. LA County officials have scheduled a news conference that should begin in about 30 minutes, and we will certainly bring it to you live when it does happen.
Right now, let's check in with meteorologist Melissa McGee. She can update our current fire weather conditions and tell us what to expect as we head into the night.
Yeah, Kathy, we're tracking those winds that are starting to pick up. They're ranging anywhere from 30 to 45 miles per hour across the region, so they're fairly moderate as we're tracking the Hughes fire. Latest observation data, Warm Springs, we've got sustained winds out of the northeast at 29 miles per hour, but gusts up to 44 miles per hour. But here's the issue on the ground. Yes, we are tracking Santa Ana's, but it is terribly dry at the surface. Relative humidity down into the single digits, 5% there for Whittier Peak, and we've got Magic Mountain Truck Trail, the relative humidity down to 7%. Also want to show you the gusts across our region and focus in on the colors to the north and west of Santa Clarita, where we're up to 40 miles per hour. The purples there as you travel up the 5, close to Gorman and Fraser Park, we've got those winds anywhere from 50 to 60 miles per hour. And again, the relative humidity dropping down into the teens and the single digits. Santa Clarita, the closest site for you, showing you the relative humidity is down to 5%. So any wind across Southern California, as we've been saying with our red flag warnings that have been up, they will start to spread those fires fairly quickly, not only because of the Santa Anas, because of the dry conditions on the ground. We talk about the wildfire triangle. We've got the weather in terms of the Santa Anas, very dry conditions, the topography for this location specifically. It's all about the foothills, the slopes, and the mountains, and the fuel, all of that dry brush, extensive growth, which is leading to a lot of energy to fuel this fire. I want to bring in meteorologist David Bigger because we're talking about the fire, but air quality, a big impact as we track those winds coming in from the north and east all the way down to the south and west, David.
And that's exactly right, Melissa. You can actually see the smoke plume from radar right now on the First Alert Radar Network. It can track not only rain droplets and snow, but it can also track ash. And we're seeing a lot of this ash now kind of extending off toward the southwest of the fire, which makes sense because the winds are blowing out of the northeast. So you can see where this is being carried. This is being carried not down to the San Fernando Valley, but into Ventura County. And you'll notice that as it gets farther and farther away from the fire itself, which, by the way, is right under the K there in network, you're noticing that it's disappearing here on radar. And that's not because the smoke is gone. It's now descending below the level of the radar. The way that ash works is very similar to anything else you throw up in the atmosphere. Eventually, it has to come back down, and it's starting to deposit in areas much farther downwind. And so that is creating a lot of air quality issues. Let me show you an example of this. This is from Camera Ranch. This is one of the Alert California wildfire cameras. And you can see just how gross the air quality is looking right now. This is looking off toward the north. So the little mountain range, or hillsides, I should say, that sits just to the north of Camarillo, right over here. But now I'm going to show you what's beyond this. And this is a shot from South Mountain, which separates kind of where Camarillo is from the Santa Clara River Valley. So this is actually Santa Paula right over here. So you can see where all that smoke is sitting. It's sitting now down in the lower atmosphere. You see it almost sitting over here. Ojai would be back in this area, across a couple more of these little ridge lines. But that's where that poor air quality is all sitting, is down by the surface. So that's why we have all these pockets of unhealthy air quality. In fact, right now around Oxnard, this is even darker color. That means this is considered hazardous air quality. So you don't want to be outside in this. You want to stay inside if possible. Close all doors and windows for your house. If you have an air purifier, great, you can run that. If not, run your air conditioning or your heater. And that's going to help to kind of circulate the air through some of those air filters that lead into your HVAC systems. That should help to get some of the smoke out. And then if you absolutely have to go outside, which again, right now the air quality is considered hazardous around parts of Ventura County. But if you have to go outside, you have to wear an N95 mask or a P100 mask. Any other mask is not going to be able to trap some of the fine particulates. We call them 2.5. So that's 2.5 microns, very small. That's the kind of stuff that can get very, very deep into your lungs and cause problems. And that's what's in this smoke. So if you're outside, you got to wear an N95 mask or a P100 mask with this. Back over to you guys.
All right, David, thank you. And thanks for that information on the C-130s helping fight this fire. We've been watching a couple of them drop as well. Lolita Lopez joins us once again. She's, Lolita, give us your location. I know you've moved a couple of times.
Yeah, absolutely, Colleen and Kathy. We are still right now at the base of where we were. We were about a mile up of Lake Hughes Road, right by Castaic Lake. We are still at that location as the fire has been tempered down here for now. Let me take you a little bit behind me and just kind of show you where we are, where we started. I'm with Sean Browning, a photographer here. If I take you up the mountain here to the left, Sean, we're going to show them sort of the vantage point of where we were earlier today. All of this hillside here in this canyon completely burned down. This was full of vegetation. We were up about a mile on this road, on Lake Hughes Road. Once we were there, we were seeing that fire line come down a ridge. Once it stopped and once it jumped over and kept coming, fire crews that were with us said, you need to go, and we kept moving. And then we consistently moved down the road and kept moving different ways. And even here across this bridge, we were talking to firefighter Fred Fielding from LA County, who was explaining to us what was going on, what they were doing, what they were seeing. And he in that moment told us, you have to leave here. So about 4 different times we've moved, and now where we are is at a place where these helicopters are coming to get water. Here is a great vantage point of what we've been seeing since that time, last half hour. And can I tell you something? What is great to see on this end is blue skies, to be honest with you. 30 minutes ago, this was full of smoke, deep, rich black smoke that now we're seeing over there where those helicopters are going. That seemingly is where the fire is either moving or where they're worried about that happening at this time. And we are watching as sort of those choppers come here to where we are, get water from the lake and move on. And you can see that black smoke kind of just coming over the other side of the canyon there, on the other side of where we are here. But if you remember from about half an hour ago, this was all full of black smoke. This area here along the river was still spot fires here. Looking around, we had some crews also on the ground doing some work with the bulldozers. I said dirt push earlier because, you know, we were in the middle of it. But actually what they were doing is creating ridges to sort of stop the fire, right, as hand crews would do with people coming in and kind of doing that. We did see some folks in there doing that as well. And what that creates is hopefully a ridge where that fire can kind of like drop out and then keep going. I still like my dirt push, but trying to be as accurate as possible. And as you see here, another helicopter coming through, getting that water. As we've seen, this has been a consistent motion and activity for about the last half hour. We're also seeing more crews going up and firefighting crews stationing themselves in different areas. We're going to see as crews go in front of our photographer Sean Browning's camera as we see the helicopter, those crews going back up the mountain here, back up Lake Hughes Road, which is again closed off to anyone. This area that we're at, if anyone's been here, it is about, if you get off on Lake Hughes Road going north on the 5, it's not a populated area because this is more of a campground, the State Historic Park. This is where people would be kind of hanging out. While maybe some structures may have been sort of in harm's way here, the better thing about where we were in this position is it's not completely populated with people, right? And it was one thing that they could be able to make sure that no major property structures or homes were in this area. So right now it's sort of like part of the process now to continue to go to those areas where they may be seeing spot fires, where things are going as the wind is blowing in that direction. And so we're seeing here yet another chopper getting some more water here at Castaic Lake, making sure they take this to where it's needed. We're seeing smoke on the other side of the ridge here, and I believe, you know, I'd like to follow them because for me, it sort of gives us a vantage point of where they're centering their firefight, right? From the air here and as well as from the ground, seeing where they're sort of settling in the moments. And that is also very moving, very fluid, also changing in this direction. So as you see, we're seeing these choppers take that water. We're going to continue to follow them as we also show you down on the ground what's happening, right? They continue to mobilize. As the choppers go up in the air, on the ground, the crews are mobilizing. You have bulldozers, you have fire engines, you have water tanks, you have all kinds of different apparatuses here that they're using in order to be able to fight this fire. And I just want to show you this one last location, because to me it's very interesting what this looks like sort of post it, right? After everything has been like said and done and all of this has come through. An hour ago, y'all, this was full of fire. So let's watch here as they circle around here where they're seeing must be a fire, a spot fire here, the area that they really want to concentrate on and make sure that they stop this from moving any further. Again, as we talked to firefighter Fielding from LA County, it is about containment. It is about keeping it as close together as possible and making sure it doesn't go anywhere near property, homes, and of course lives, right? And so many residents and neighbors and community members that we've seen with other colleagues watching that, you know, as we see and as the smoke is coming to them, you know, fearful and concerned that this could be something that they see. So saw another couple of water drops here, but if we look on the ground, you can see what's been scorched here from the fires that kept coming and spot firing here throughout the afternoon since we've been here. And then far in the distance, you can see where engines are at the ready. Y'all, they are at the ready to move if needed, because as we saw throughout the morning and afternoon, that is how quickly this fire continues to move about as those winds shift and move as well. So Colleen, I'll send it back to you in the studio, but we are seeing some blue skies, and that's really a good sign.
It's amazing. Kathy and I are sitting here watching how quickly these choppers can cycle in, pick up their load of water and take off. And I would assume because the lake is so large, we've seen them, it looks like there are multiple choppers doing the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen at least two from the county, and they're coming in, and it's pretty consistent. I mean, they're coming in right one after another. And then we saw another helicopter earlier. I couldn't get from where, but that's three different choppers from our vantage point that we've seen. And what's really interesting that you're talking about, Colleen, is like what I want to make sure that viewers understand is just the precise science and activity that happens here. Someone is telling these, you know, crews up in the air, okay, this is what we're seeing. Then they have to come, obviously pick up the water and take it there. And then they start circling and hovering like a hawk, right? And they're looking at sort of the locations where they have to go. But then they have to account for the wind, if the wind is blowing in a certain way. So if you really think about it, they have to sometimes drop the water a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, in order to really get those precise moments where they tackle the fire and be able to put it out right in the spot and in the moment that they need it. It is fascinating to see how they do it, and really interesting to see the coordination that firefighters are doing from the ground as well as in the air. Really interesting. But yes, this is a continued motion, and will certainly continue to be this way as they continue to see if anything else, you know, spots or catches fire and moves about, and they're going to continue to track it. But for right now, we're feeling less winds. It's a little bit calmer, if you will. You can hear me better here on the mic than about an hour ago. So again, it looks like they're just going to continue to get this motion until they really feel they have a handle on it.
Wow. Well, thank you for bringing us the air fight. That is fascinating to see the way they do it. When they get the water, they get the full belly of water, they take off, and they're doing it constantly. And we were wondering, are those spotters on the ground telling them where to go? We see firefighters with binoculars looking up. We were wondering about that.
Yeah, there's been spotters all along when we were up on Lake Hughes Road, making sure that they're there. But they're also in constant communication. Firefighter Fielding earlier from LA County telling us that that is how they're continuing to communicate. And just experience alone. I mean, we were up on that mountain, and again, I told you we had to, on the road here, we had to move 4 different times. They knew immediately where it was going. It went down a ridge, up again, across, and then we would see a fire start here and there. So they're in constant communication, but also knowledge, right? Institutional knowledge of what this is, living in this area, having to do this. And many times we're watching them go into the fire as we're trying to get out of the fire. So you have ground crews going in with their engines and their apparatus, others talking to them, those in the field, and then if they can, using bulldozers to try to create a ridge so that the fire doesn't continue to move. So at least in our location alone, we saw 4 different ways to tackle the fire.
It's so good to see that air support. All right, Lolita, thank you so much. Right now we have NBC4's fire expert, Chief Sam DiGiovanna from the Vertigo Fire Academy, joining us live to tell us a little bit more. Chief Sam, what do you think about this fire, what we're seeing right now as we start to head into the sun going down, the winds picking up?
Well, as we know, it's no surprise we're under red flag fire conditions for the past week or two. This fire in particular is being fought a lot primarily by air, which we need. The C-130s, they carry up to 2,000 to 4,000 gallons of water or Phos-Chek. And the DC-10s that we're seeing laying down the Phos-Chek, they could put down 11,000 gallons of Phos-Chek over 1 mile long and 300 feet in width. So great asset for us right now. People always ask me, what's Phos-Chek? Well, it's 85% water, ammonium sulfate, and some additives to it, 15% sulfate and ammonium sulfate as a fertilizer, and 5% thickening agent and a coloring agent, so we can have it stick to the plants and identify where we've painted the ridge or laid a line down. So great tools right now and much needed in this firefight.
Chief Sam, as we watch this, we hope viewers won't ever have to see this up close and personal. But sadly, with the fires we've had for the past couple of weeks, a lot of people have. Advice for people in the Lake Hughes area right now as they're watching this?
You know, if you're in the Lake Hughes area, you don't need to be told to evacuate. Get your important documents, medication, laptop, and find a friend's home and get out of town before you're ordered to evacuate. If you're being ordered to evacuate, it's probably going to be too late. Those are tight, windy roads to get out. It's a good time just to leave right now, because the winds are supposed to pick up and fire activity could pick up tonight very easily.
And what about the firefighting aircraft? Will we see them, do you think, into the night, or are the winds going to be too much?
Fixed wing aircraft will probably be grounded for the night. However, the helicopters will probably stay up and flying, because they do have the night flying vision capabilities, which will be a big asset.
Chief Sam, we heard the supervisor, Catherine Barger, say earlier today, not that we're fortunate, but in a way we are. There are mop-up conditions going on in Eaton, that fire, and Palisades fire. So there are residual firefighters in Southern California. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, you know, it is good to have them, but it's important because we needed them. We have this fire growing right now. We're still under red flag fire conditions, pretty much going in towards the end of the week. So another fire can break out just like this. So we don't want that. Just like when we saw the Palisades, the Eaton, and the Hearst fire break out within a close time, we don't want that right now, because that will start stripping air support and ground resources. So to your point, yes, it's a blessing on one hand, but they can be used up very quickly under these fire conditions.
And Chief Sam, what do you think of the progress they've made so far today, and what are your worries going into tonight?
Well, I think they've done an incredible job. I'll say Los Angeles County Fire Department, they're the best of the best with the wildland, LA City, Verdugo, all the agencies throughout California. They did a great job. They're doing a great job. They did make great and are making great progress with this fire. The big concern, though, is the winds that are supposed to pick up overnight.
Chief Sam, talk to us a little bit. You're on one side of our screen. On the other side, I want to let our viewers know we've put up the Watch Duty app. This is live. The area in red on the screen shows the evacuation order for as many as 19,000 plus people. The tan area shows evacuation warnings. And the icons that you're seeing there, if you look closely, those are all the aerial resources deployed on this fire in real time. What do you think about this app? How important is this app?
You know, it's a great app. It's a great app for the right intention, and it is great, especially if you're at home and you can watch and see that you're going to be evacuated very quickly. However, Colleen, it got in the hands of some bad people. We saw that during the Eaton fire. They were looters. When they were arrested, they found they had the same app on their phone, and they were seeing where places were going to be or ordered to be evacuated, and they were taking advantage of that. It's a great app, but also it can fall into the hands of the wrong people. That's what we don't want.
We understand some fire chiefs. I'm thinking of the Brian Hennessy with Orange County Fire Authority was a consultant on this. It was a fire chief out of San Bernardino as well. How important moving forward is that to having this sort of centralized location information?
It's great. It's very important to have it. And I'm friends with Chief Hennessy. I have all the respect in the world for him. He's helped so much in the progress of technology. Very important with having this technology, and there's more coming down the road. So I look at back when I started in the fire service and where we are today, we are leaps and bounds from back then. So the technology is helping out tremendously.
And even without the app, you would get alerts sent to you if you needed to evacuate, correct?
Yes, you know, LA Alert, there's all apps. There's a lot of apps out there. Check with your community. Your community probably has those within their own community, but there's a lot of apps that warn you about evacuation. And just like what we're doing right now, just like this is Community Risk Reduction Week, and we've been on a lot with you guys, NBC is doing a great job at informing the public where to evacuate, evacuation shelters. So just stay tuned. You know, be informed, and preparedness is key to everything.
Boy, you're right about that, Chief Sam. Thank you.
All right, Chief Sam. Thank you, as always. Stay safe. Right now, we want to get to our newsroom because Annabelle Sedano, who has been covering this all day, also has put together some of the video that we've seen of some of the more remarkable sights that we saw today. Annabelle, what do you have to show us right now?
You know, it really has been incredible. We are getting new videos into the newsroom showing the scale of the fire. And then, of course, the urgency to get to safety. We want you guys to take a look here. These are images from the Amazon Fulfillment Center in Castaic. You can see delivery drivers watching that huge plume of smoke very close to the warehouse there. And now keep in mind, for anybody who may be expecting packages, deliveries tonight, especially around this area, may be impacted. So just keep that in mind. But look at that plume of smoke. You see it there. And then here's a different perspective of the fire from Castaic Lake. You can see a man on his boat recording the flames in the hills near the lake. So many people caught off guard today, you know, just before the fire broke out. Many people were going about their business. This guy was in the lake.
Michael wants
and then you could tell from these images, he's trying to move his boat to safety and clearing the area for helicopters, getting water from the lake to make those water drops that are so crucial right now, right? And then we have this video from the Citizen app. It shows a homeowner staying behind to douse his home and property with water. We've seen that as well with some of our reporters capturing those images. Their attempt to further protect their home from possible flames. You can see just how close the fire is burning there on the other side of the hill. And then we want you to take a look at this one. About 2 hours ago, our Lolita Lopez and her photographer captured a man evacuating from an area near the fire. You could see him hauling personal items to safety. A first responder runs up to help. The man pulls some type of box there. Again, this is video showing the sense of urgency to get out of the way, just get out of that fire, right? And then we have another video, this one of the firefight on the ground. You can see a firefighter in a bulldozer working to smother the flames on the fire lines. Just an example of the teamwork and then, of course, the coordination between fire crews as they work to battle this fire from the ground and, of course, the air. So, again, everybody just kind of working in coordination. And then this fire burns out as it burns out of control there. Even our own crews have been forced to move to safety as the flames continue to spread. You can see just how thick the smoke on the ground is there. The visibility in the area has been minimal in certain parts. So again, we are closely monitoring in this situation out there for so many people in that Castaic area. Our crews are out there, and of course we continue to get more and more images just on the ground of people sharing these images that they're seeing nearby. So we will of course continue to monitor that and then bring it to you.
All right, Annabelle, thank you. And of course, that picture of that guy pulling his belongings in a box really speaks volumes. I mean, you see the desperate situation there. You see what firefighters do so often. They run in to help out. And, you know, that is a picture that will resonate with so many people.
Yeah, Lolita there on the ground, and that happened to be maybe her third or fourth location because with each what appeared to be second or minute, she was being moved down the mountain. So again, we saw this not only with her crew, but a couple of other crews as well. So again, she spotted that. And again, it just speaks volumes as to the desperation of those folks who were caught, within that wildfire range.
And when you think about it, it really is significant when you think about all the fires we've had the past couple of weeks. People trying to get out of there with whatever they can. We've been keeping an eye on the Castaic Lake RV Park, wondering what's been going on there. McCullough Medina was there for a while. We understand Alex Rozier is there right now. Alex, what can you tell us? Do we have Alex?
Que ya fue consumida como barrera para que el fuego.
All right, there you are, Alex. Because we're hearing two reporters here right now.
Right. Well, obviously,
We didn't know if this was populated, or whether it was just a place where people parked their RVs, or what the deal was.
Yeah, Alex was there as we try to, tinker with his audio there. He, again, is at the Castaic Lake RV Park. And McCullough Medina, I believe, was he within that same vicinity not too long ago?
He was at one point, maybe a couple of hours ago. He had moved out of the area, moved to another spot. Alex, are you with us now?
Yes, I am. Yes, guys, we are live here at the Castaic Lake RV Park. And Tommy, if we want to jump behind the camera here and zoom in the far distance, and I'll give you a bit of a good update. We've only been here about a half hour, but we have watched an aggressive firefight by the crews, both on the ground and in the air. We were out there, as you know, a couple of weeks ago at the Palisades fire, and they just did not have that air attack that they do here. So Charlie Canyon that you see in the far distance here, just about 15-20 minutes ago, it was full of flames, and thanks to the air support, they have been able to extinguish those flames pretty quickly here. Again, we're at the Castaic Lake RV Park, and I want to give you a look around here because there are dozens and dozens of RVs here, and I want to bring in Sandra, who has lived here for a couple of years. We're not going to show her face, but we're going to just talk to her a little bit. The RVs that we're looking at here, Sandra, are just storage, but there are people who live here permanently. You're one of them.
Yes.
What was your experience like today?
Well, when it first started, it said, 5 yards, or 5 acres. I thought, no big deal. Then 50 acres. And then pretty soon it was growing. I thought, okay, it's time to look. And so I drove out to see, and you could see the smoke in the distance. And it started to grow, but before long, we had more firemen than we've got residents probably. There were trucks and air and you name it.
And that's one of the things that's been amazing to see, are the amount of firemen on the night of the Palisades and Eden fire a couple of weeks ago. The firefighters were just spread so thin. There's a very visible amount of firefighters here. How close did it come to your RV park?
I don't know. From here to that mountain, I don't know what it would be, 500 yards?
Yeah.
I'm not good at this, but yeah. But you know what? You didn't feel bad because at the bottom of that hill were 5 or 6 fire trucks just waiting. And then, as you see, as I've been talking to you, there have been 10 or 11 helicopter drops going into Charlie Canyon. That's why there's no more flames over there.
It's been really amazing to watch that air support. How are you feeling right now? We have a noticeable wind. It's not incredibly intense, but you said it was quite windy earlier.
Oh, it was windy earlier, and it settled down a little bit. But even with the winds, they've done such a job about tamping this fire down that you just, you feel safe, you feel okay. Because even the little ones, like I see a couple more starting up in little ones, but the minute something happens, they jump on it. So they just have a good lead on this fire. So it's just hopeful to see what a good job they're doing.
Well, I'm so thankful that things are looking okay. From your vantage point right here, appreciate you talking with us, Sandra. Wish you the best. We'll send it back into you all in the studio.
All right, Alex.
It's interesting. Sandra said there appear to be more firefighters than people who actually live within that RV park. And she said that, there at the bottom, there were pre-positioned ground units and ground crews there just in case anything happens. So you could hear the confidence in her voice that, in fact, they really have a handle on this or about to get a handle on this.
Well, you're right about that. The confidence in her voice. All right, what we're looking at right now is a news conference. It's 5 o'clock. This fire has burned more than 8,000 acres. Last we heard 0%
for the Hughes
containment.
fire.
Let's listen.
We're going to announce Chief Maroney. He's going to start it off, and then he's going to subsequently, they're going to announce each other. We have Fire Chief Maroney, Sheriff Robert Luna, Chief Robert Garcia, Joe Tyler, and the Mayor of Santa Clarita, Bill Miranda. We'll start this press conference off with Fire Chief Anthony Maroney.
So good evening. On behalf of Board Chair and 5th District Supervisor Catherine Barger, we're holding a press conference to give important information to the community of Santa Clarita and the Castaic area. I am Anthony Maroney, Chief of the Los Angeles County Fire Department. The Hughes Fire is now estimated to be over 9,400 acres with 0% containment, with no structures reported damaged or destroyed. We have over 4,000 firefighting personnel assigned to the incident, and we had a very robust ground and air response to the incident that you see behind me. The LA County Fire Department is in unified command with the Angeles National Forest, and we are getting assistance from our state partners at CAL FIRE. I wanted to give a weather update because the weather is what's predominantly driving this fire and its spread right now. The National Weather Service has extended the red flag warning through 10 a.m. on Friday for most of Los Angeles and Ventura counties. Light to moderate Santa Ana winds will continue tonight and into Thursday. The situation remains dynamic, and the fire remains a difficult fire to contain, although we are getting the upper hand. I would now like to invite up Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna